Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Off Doc TV coming to you live from Nairobi, CBD. In today's analysis, we are delving right into what is happening right now at the Indian Ocean ports. From Mombasa Port, opportunity has never presented itself in such a wonderful manner for the port of Mombasa. It seems the gods are smiling at the port. The stars are well aligned, and Mombasa Port must just seize the moment. All the Indian Ocean ports, apart from Mombasa Port, are heavily congested with vessel congestion. These ports are facing dire consequences in vessel delays and charges. Mombasa Port must now rise to the occasion to once again prove that it's the leader of the region in terms of port performances. Port of Dar es Salaam has got more than 40 vessels waiting for the last 30 days. The future looks bleak. Capacity to clear all those vessels within the shortest time possible apparently is not guaranteed, owing to the capacity that we see at the port of Dar es Salaam. Djibouti, likewise, is facing up to, for more than 5 days, vessels waiting. And they've got more than 15 vessels waiting as we speak. Now, all these vessels waiting in the anchorage and drifting are incurring heavy costs and would therefore automatically throw these costs to the port through what we call the vessel delay surcharges that will make those ports very, very expensive because of the penalty that these shipping lines have imposed on those ports. Dar es Salaam has gone through a period of ineffectiveness, period of inefficiency, and a period of poor performances. Shipping lines are moving away from the port of Dar es Salaam. Mombasa Port recently has now been receiving ports diverting from the port of Dar es Salaam. One good evidence is Jolly Rosso, which came on a maiden call, and it appears that they are likely to change their weekly services to Dar es Salaam, monthly services into the port of Durban, to reroute their routes to the port of Mombasa. Mombasa doesn't have to do much more transshipment marketing anymore. Opportunity has just presented itself, and all the vessels diverting from port of Dar es Salaam would easily change Dar es Salaam as a feeder port to the port of Mombasa. Dar es Salaam cargo landing at the port of Mombasa would also turn Mombasa port as the hub for transshipment of cargo, doing what we call hub and spoke, that will give a third-party vessel or a feeder vessel to the port of Dar es Salaam. The same case happens to the port of Djibouti. Remember, Djibouti handles 75% of all Ethiopia cargo, and therefore it's the main Ethiopian port. Kenya has been striving so hard to try and encourage Ethiopia to move away from Djibouti and move their cargo through the port of Lamu or the port of Mombasa, through the northern corridor. Now, we have had very stiff competition from the port of Dar es Salaam. And looking at the way Dar es Salaam is preparing itself in the future, not too distant future, but even in the near future, by developing, widening the infrastructure that supports the central corridor, puts Kenya at the loose end. And this means that Kenya must now rise. Kenya cannot control the northern corridor. I mean, the Kenyan port of Mombasa and Lamu, they cannot control the Northern Corridor. There is a permanent secretariat of the Northern Corridor that addresses all issues that affect the Northern Corridor. The Port of Mombasa can only play what we call advocacy. Advocacy through Parliament, advocacy through the ministry, advocacy through the cabinet, so as to ensure that the corridors serving the Port of Mombasa and Lamu are given fluidity, cost-effective movement of cargo that will make the Port of Mombasa easier for shipment and less costly for shipment. Let's go back to the Port of Dar es Salaam. Dar es Salaam has recently been dredging their berths. That was the beginning for which the vessels started waiting, because most of the berths were closed for dredging. But the dredging exercise is now ended. The vessels have increased in number. We call it bunching up of vessels. The bunching of vessels has now increased. It is impossible for the Port of Dar es Salaam to clear them without putting in very, very strategic and very effective build-up of their berth productivity to ensure that they turn around these vessels as quickly as possible. But I would advise the Port of Dar es Salaam to implement two critical strategies that will lower the vessel congestion. But remember, vessel congestion does just come alone. It is a build-up of the terminal or yard congestion. It's a build-up also from the congestions at the port gates. This is a multiplier effect that eventually leads to the vessels waiting. So to ensure that the efficiency of the port through clearing of waiters, vessels, and especially addressing the bunching up of vessels, there's a strategy that they could use, what we call the fixed berthing window. The fixed berthing window is a timeline strategy that provides equal time for every vessel, every shipping line, and its weekly service to arrive at the port on a particular date and exit the port on a particular date, regardless of the volumes of cargo that the vessel is carrying. And that means the port must also strategize internally to ensure that the build-up of productivity for faster vessel turnaround time, for shorter port time, so that to ensure that the fixed berthing window is achieved. Most likely they should give 2.5 days for each vessel, whether it comes to the low volumes or it comes to big volumes. If it is for lower volumes, then advantage is that the vessel leaves early. But if it's for bigger vessels, then the productivity must be higher. Productivity higher means that they must do more than 30 crane moves per hour. More than 30 crane moves per hour, up to 40 crane moves per hour. By doing that, they'll be surely move these vessels out within 1.5 days to 2 days. Discharging of container vessels is the easiest process, but the loading of the export and empty containers and transshipment is more complex in terms of the pre-planning, pre-stacking, and preparation up to preparing what we call the loading sequence of this container to ensure that the hook cycle is not interrupted in any way. The basic principle of ship operation is to keep the hook moving. And to keep the hook moving, there must be a very elaborate pre-planning of export pre-stacking in the yard in such a manner that the loading sequence is never interrupted. And therefore, they should organize for a fixed berthing window. We are willing to offer expertise, even to the Port of Dar es Salaam, on how to do the fixed berthing window for which the shipping lines lead the program, and the port planning teams also coordinates with the shipping association so that the fixed berthing window is properly effected. The second strategy which they need to use is called the school bus arrangement. The school bus arrangement is one of slot sharing on a bigger vessel. All the shipping lines can book slots on one particular vessel, with one agent being the lead agent, and instead of small vessels bunching up at the port, all the small vessels with these shipping lines come together and share slots on that big vessel, for which we call locally here in Kenya or in Mombasa as the school bus arrangement. This one eliminates all the smaller vessels and therefore builds up bigger vessels. Now, bigger vessels will make one call, which will cover even 5 to 6 calls of the smaller bunching up of vessels. And this one will deliberately eliminate the number of vessels waiting to call at any port. Now, the same strategy could also be applied at the port of Durban. The same strategy can also be applied at the port of Djibouti. If they lack the expertise, export. If they lack the expertise, then I can assure them that off-dock services has got the expertise for consultancies in doing a program for which they can effect the fixed berthing window. They can also effect what we call the school bus arrangement. And also, while effecting these two strategic programs to ease the congestion, vessel congestion, the internal processes must be enhanced. The external capacity must be enhanced as well. And the capacity to do vessel turnaround time in the shortest time possible, the availability and the deployment and mobilization of resources must be done in such an effective and strategic manner so as to ensure that the fixed berthing window and the school bus arrangement are given the best performances in berth productivity and also shorter port time and shorter vessel turnaround time. But for the yard and the terminal congestion, then cargo dwell time becomes the key performance indicator. The cargo dwell time becomes the key performance indicator. Cargo dwell time is the moment from which cargo is discharged from the vessel, placed in the storage yard, and evacuated at the time of delivery to the importer. That's the period taken from the time it's offloaded up to the time it exits the gate of the port. That is called the cargo dwell time. And the cargo dwell time is basically one of the internationally accepted key performance indicators in the port industry. And once that one has been achieved, then the fluidity and movement of cargo into the port is guaranteed, and automatically it eliminates vessels waiting out there because of yard congestion. This is off-dock TV. Off-dock services also is the expert in port operations. Off-dock is also experts in ship contracting, and we are also out there to support the CFSs in their internal operations. We have developed a software called the off-dock system that also improves the performance of cargo operations moving into the CFSs and also evacuation of cargo from the CFS. Real-time movement of cargo within the CFS, container yard allocation, which is the biggest challenges that CFSs faces in their terminals. We guarantee you the real-time movement of containers, real-time location, identification of location. The yard address system in your CFSs is also uploaded into the system, and it guarantees that your container can be located in the CFS yard, and information is also shared on a common platform called the EDI system, which is also based at the off-dock system, that all your clients will get from the comfort of their offices the positions of their containers and how the containers are moving into the CFSs. But we have gone an extra mile also in developing this system. We also ensure that upon discharge of your containers from the vessel, the cargo tracking, the container tracking from the vessel to your CFSs is also done online and also shared with your clients to guarantee that you get real-time information to your clients. We do it at a modest cost, and we are willing to support. It is tailor-made to address the common challenges that locally faces the CFS operations. So please, those who have not subscribed to this channel, kindly subscribe. Share also so that we can grow the audience and make it bigger. And also give us a like. Thank you so much. Let's meet again in the next video.